Welcome to this deep dive. And, you've given us some fascinating stuff to unpack today.
Yeah, looks like we've got some academic excerpts and even a video lecture to dig into.
Yeah, and, I'm already thinking about our listener and how, they're so into this whole world of data. And I guess the big question we need to tackle is, what is data really?
Yeah, that's a good place to start.
Because it's one of those things we hear all the time, but, do we really stop and think about what it actually means?
Right, it's become such a buzzword.
Exactly. And even that video lecture, it starts with this chuckle soundbite. And it really got me thinking, on its own, it's just a chuckle. But the expert in the video makes this point about how context actually transforms it into data.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, context is everything.
Totally. Because it turns out that chuckle came from the CEO of Enron.
Oh, wow, during a financial crisis.
Exactly. So suddenly this, seemingly meaningless chuckle becomes this really revealing piece of data.
It speaks volumes about his demeanor, maybe even the company's state at the time.
Totally. And it made me think about how data can be so subjective,
The meaning can change so much depending on the circumstances.
And, it reminded me of this one-star Amazon review I saw for The Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
The review just said, "Be aware, not a nature documentary."
Oh, that's hilarious.
Right. But it also made me think about data again, because you have the rating itself, 1 star, which is clearly data.
Right, very quantifiable.
But then you have the text of the review, which is, funny and subjective, but still valuable in its own way.
Absolutely. I mean, that text can be analyzed for sentiment, themes, even the writer's personality.
So it's not just about numbers then when we talk about data.
Not at all. I mean, think about it. We encounter data in all sorts of forms every single day.
Yeah, that's true.
That Google search you did this morning, the news articles you skim, even your location as you move through the city, it's all data.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it that way.
It's everywhere.
And speaking of Google, the lecture showed this heat map of eye tracking data on a Google search results page.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
It was wild to see, how our eyes are drawn to certain areas of the page.
And Google uses that data to optimize everything.
Like those ads at the top of the page.
Exactly. They're not there by accident. Google analyzed tons of data to figure out the most effective placement.
It's like they know exactly where our eyes are going to go.
Right, and that's why they call it the golden triangle, that top left corner of the results page.
Prime real estate for advertisers.
You got it.
And, I also remember reading that they even got rid of those right-hand side ads because data showed people weren't really paying attention to them.
See, it's all about data-driven decision-making.
Companies are constantly using data to, understand user behavior, predict trends, and ultimately achieve their goals.
It's becoming the foundation of how businesses operate.
This is making me see data in a whole new light.
Mm.
But, with so many different types of data out there, is there any way to sort of organize all this information?
Absolutely. One way is to think about where the data comes from.
Okay, that makes sense.
So we have primary data, which is collected directly for a specific purpose.
So like that eye tracking study on the Google page.
Exactly. They set out to collect that data to understand how people interact with search results.
And if I conduct a survey to understand my customers, that's primary data too, right?
Exactly. You're gathering information directly from your target audience.
Okay, so that's primary data. And then what about secondary data?
Secondary data is information that's already out there collected for a different purpose.
So like government census data.
Exactly. Or social media posts, even sales records from a store.
Got it. So it's data that already exists for some other reason, but can be used for other purposes.
Right. It's a valuable resource for researchers, marketers, anyone looking for insights.
Okay, that distinction makes sense, but I'm guessing not all data is created equal.
You're right. We also categorize data based on its structure.
Okay, so this is where things get a little more technical.
Well, not too technical. Think about it this way. Structured data is organized and fits neatly into rows and columns.
Like a spreadsheet.
Exactly. Things like sales figures, demographic information, easy to analyze.
Makes sense.
And then there's unstructured data, which is, well, a bit messier.
Like text and images?
Yes, exactly. Audio, video, social media posts. It doesn't fit into that neat spreadsheet format.
I can see how that would be a lot harder to work with.
It definitely poses challenges.
Yeah.
We need more sophisticated tools and techniques to extract meaningful insights from unstructured data.
So we've got primary and secondary data, structured and unstructured data. I'm starting to feel like I'm getting a handle on this data landscape. But there's one more term I keep hearing everywhere: big data. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, big data, it's a bit of a buzzword, but it does have a specific meaning.
I was kind of wondering if it just meant, a lot of data.
Well, it is a lot of data, but it's more than that. Think about the sheer scale of information being generated every second online transactions. Social media posts censor data from our devices.
It's mind-boggling.
Exactly, and big data usually refers to secondary data, which is often unstructured and requires advanced processing techniques to analyze.
So it's not just the volume that makes big data unique, it's the whole package.
Exactly, the three V's: volume, variety, and velocity.
Okay, now it's starting to click.
And the insights we can glean from big data are incredibly powerful if you know how to harness it.
It's almost like finding a needle in a haystack, though, right?
Yeah.
How do we even begin to make sense of this deluge of data?
Well, there are some key steps involved in processing data. It starts with collection, gathering all the raw information from various sources.
That sounds like a massive task in itself.
It can be, especially when dealing with big data. And once you've collected the data, you need to clean it up.
Clean it up. What does that involve?
Getting rid of errors, inconsistencies, any missing information that could skew the analysis.
So it's like spring cleaning for data out with the junk.
You could say that, and then we have to make it usable, transforming the data into a format that's easier to analyze.
I'm guessing this is where things get tricky with unstructured data.
Exactly. It might involve coding text data to represent sentiment or categorizing images based on their content. Once it's all cleaned up and prepped, then comes the fun part, exploring the data.
This is where we actually start to see what the data is telling us.
Precisely. We use charts, graphs, and summaries to identify patterns, trends, and relationships.
Like those heat maps we saw earlier.
Exactly. Visualizations are really powerful for understanding data. And then finally, we arrive at modeling and analysis.
Okay, so this is where the real magic happens.
You could say that this is where we apply more advanced techniques like statistical models or machine learning algorithms to really dig deep and uncover meaningful insights. It's about answering specific questions, testing hypotheses, and ultimately turning data into actionable knowledge.
This has been an incredible journey so far. We've gone from a simple chuckle to the complexities of big data. I feel like I'm starting to grasp the sheer scope of this data universe.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
I'm definitely ready to dive deeper, but I think we've given our listener a lot to consider already.
Definitely, it's a lot to take in.
So what are some key takeaways you want them to leave with from this first part of our deep dive?
I think the most important thing is to understand that data is much more than just numbers in a spreadsheet. It's all around us in many different forms, and it's constantly shaping our world.
That's a great point. Data is everywhere, and understanding its nuances can be incredibly powerful.
Absolutely. And as we move into the second part of our dive, we'll explore some real-world examples of how data is being used to understand user behavior, optimize marketing strategies, and even predict the future.
Sounds fascinating. I can't wait to learn more.
True.
Okay, so we've talked about what data is, where it comes from, how it's structured, all that good stuff.
We've laid a good foundation.
Exactly. And now I'm really curious to see how all of this applies to marketing. Since that's what our listener seems most interested in.
Well, one of the most powerful applications of data analysis in marketing is understanding user behavior.
Okay, that makes sense.
And the video lecture you provided uses a really familiar example to illustrate this, the Google search results page.
Right. That heat map of eye tracking data was fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing to see how much research goes in something as simple as a Google search.
It really highlights how much companies rely on data to create effective online experiences.
Yeah, and I bet most people don't even realize it.
Probably not, but remember that golden triangle we talked about?
You mean that top left corner of the results page?
Exactly. That wasn't just a lucky guess. Google analyzed mountains of eye tracking data to figure out where people focus their attention.
And then they use that information to optimize their ad placements.
Right. The more eyes on those ads, the more valuable they are.
Makes sense. So it's a win-win for everyone involved.
Exactly. Advertisers get better results, Google generates more revenue, and users are hopefully presented with relevant ads.
So it's not just about, manipulating people into clicking on ads.
Not at all. It's about understanding how people naturally interact with online content, using that knowledge to create a better experience for everyone.
Okay, so data-driven decision-making goes way beyond just ad placement then.
Absolutely. It's used in so many different aspects of marketing.
So how else is data being used, in the real world of marketing?
Well, one major application is market research.
Okay, so what does that involve?
It's all about gathering information to understand your target audience, their needs, preferences, behaviors, what makes them tick.
So it's like building a detailed profile of your ideal customer.
Precisely. And data plays a crucial role in this process.
I can see how that would be valuable.
Companies can use surveys, analyze website traffic, even look at social media trends to gather valuable insights about their target market.
It seems like the more you understand your audience, the more effectively you can tailor your marketing messages.
Absolutely, you can create content that resonates with their interests, target them with ads that are actually relevant to their needs, and personalize their experience to increase engagement and ultimately drive sales.
So it's like data is the key to unlocking a deeper understanding of your customer base.
And that deeper understanding allows you to make more informed decisions about every aspect of your marketing strategy. From what products you develop to what channels you use to reach your audience.
This is giving a much clearer picture of how data is shaping the marketing landscape. It's not just about gut feelings anymore.
Right? Data provides a level of insight and precision that simply wasn't available before.
Are there any other areas where data is having, a major impact in marketing?
Another really powerful application of data analysis in marketing is predictive analytics.
Okay, this sounds intriguing. What's predictive analytics all about?
It's all about using data to forecast future trends and outcomes. Imagine you could anticipate what your customers are going to do before they even do it.
That sounds almost like magic. Is that even possible?
It's not magic, it's data. By analyzing historical data, identifying patterns, and applying statistical models, businesses can make informed predictions about future customer behavior.
Okay, so you're not like reading minds or anything?
Yeah, not quite, but we can get pretty close. They can forecast sales trends, anticipate market fluctuations, and even personalize customer experiences in real time.
I'm starting to see how powerful this could be. Can you give me a concrete example?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Imagine an e-commerce company that wants to increase sales.
Okay, I'm following.
They can use predictive analytics to analyze their customers' past browsing and purchase history, identifying those who are most likely to buy again.
So instead of sending generic marketing blasts to everyone, they can target specific customers with personalized recommendations and offers based on their past behavior.
Exactly. It's about delivering the right message to the right person at the right time. This is data-driven personalization in action, and it's becoming a game changer in the marketing world.
Wow, it sounds like these techniques are giving businesses a huge advantage in connecting with their customers on a deeper level.
Absolutely. And it's not just about increasing sales or optimizing campaigns. Predictive analytics can also be used to improve customer service,
Hmm.
personalize product recommendations, even predict which products are likely to be successful.
This has been so insightful. I'm starting to understand how data analysis is transforming marketing from a gut feeling approach to a much more strategic and data-driven discipline.
That's a great way to put it. Data provides a level of insight that simply wasn't available before. But it's important to remember that data is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used responsibly or irresponsibly.
You're right, we can't just assume that more data is always better, right?
Exactly. And we'll delve into some of those challenges and considerations as we move into the final part of our deep dive.
So we've talked about all these amazing things. Data can, personalize experiences, predict the future, optimize marketing strategies. But it feels like there must be a flip side to all of this, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Are there any risks or challenges we should be aware of when it comes to data analysis? Things our listeners should be thinking about.
Definitely. I mean, data can be a powerful tool, but like any powerful tool, it needs to be used responsibly and ethically.
That makes sense.
One challenge that often comes up is data overload. We're generating more data than ever before, and it can be really overwhelming to manage and make sense of it all.
Yeah, it's like drinking from a fire hose, right?
Exactly.
Where do you even begin when there's just so much information?
Well, it starts with being strategic and focused. You need to define clear objectives for your analysis and identify the specific data points that are most relevant to your goals.
So don't just collect data for the sake of collecting data.
Right. Have a plan, have a purpose.
And don't be afraid to prioritize. I guess you don't need to analyze every single bit of information.
Exactly. Focus on the data that will have the greatest impact and help you answer the questions you're most interested in.
That makes sense. What other potential pitfalls are there when it comes to working with data?
Yeah.
Things people might not be thinking about.
Well, data security is a huge concern with data breaches becoming more and more common. It's absolutely crucial to protect sensitive information from unauthorized access.
Especially for businesses that collect customer data, right?
Exactly. A data breach could be disastrous for their reputation.
Not to mention, the impact on their customers.
Absolutely. Companies need to invest in really robust security measures and protocols to safeguard their data. It's not just about complying with regulations. It's about building trust with their customers and protecting their privacy.
It's about doing the right thing.
Exactly.
So it's not just about collecting and analyzing data. It's about protecting it responsibly and ethically.
Right. It's all part of the bigger picture.
And that brings us to another important consideration, data bias.
Oh, yeah, we touched on this briefly earlier, but it's worth emphasizing.
Right, the idea that biases that exist in the real world can be reflected in data, and those biases can then lead to unfair or inaccurate outcomes.
Exactly. It's crucial to be aware of potential biases in your data and to take steps to mitigate them. This might involve diversifying your data sources, carefully evaluating your algorithms, and always being mindful of the potential impact of your analysis.
So data isn't inherently objective or neutral.
Right. It's shaped by human choices and societal forces.
And we need to be, critical consumers of data, questioning its origins, its limitations, and its potential impact.
Absolutely. We can't just blindly trust the numbers.
It's like with any powerful tool. Data can be used for good or for ill, depending on the intentions of those who wield it.
Well said. Data literacy isn't just about understanding the technical aspects of data analysis. It's also about engaging with its ethical, social, and political dimensions.
This deep dive has been so insightful. We've gone from a simple chuckle to the complexities of big data, and I feel like I have a much more nuanced understanding of data and its implications.
It's been a pleasure exploring this world with you. I hope our listener feels empowered to engage with the data-driven world in a critical and informed way.
Me too. Data is everywhere,
Yeah.
and it's shaping our lives in profound ways. By understanding data, we can understand ourselves, our society, and the forces that shape our future.
Absolutely. And as we continue to generate and interact with data at an ever-increasing pace, the ability to think critically about data and its impact will only become more important.
So to our listener out there, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep learning. The world of data is vast and constantly evolving, and there's always something new to discover.
And remember, data isn't just a collection of numbers and facts. It's a story waiting to be told, a tapestry woven from our experiences, our choices, and our connections.
Beautifully put. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious.